indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Madam Clerk, we do call roll.
Thank you. Directors Pieza,
I'm here.
Fugazi, present. Gonzalez,
Present.
Albert, Sheplian, Director Sheplian, Pedroso,
Here.
Leon, alternate Leon, Vice Chair Burgess, alternate Singalin,
Yes.
Chair Boone.
Here.
I just received a message from Director Sheplian that she is working on her audio issues.
Yes.
Oh,
I hear, but I don't see her.
all right, you have four.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this point, we go to public comments. Persons wishing to address the authority on any item interested in public item of interest to the public regarding SJJPA and County Rail Service shall state their names and address and make their press presentation. This authority cannot make action on any matter that's on the agenda unless action is authorized by section 5495.2 of the government code. Compared related to the item on the public inspection in the commission office at 949 East Channel Street, Stockton, California, 95202 during normal business hours. These documents are also available on the San Joaquin Joint Power Authority website. Subject to staff's ability to post documents prior to the meeting. And comments are limited to 5 minutes. Do we have anybody that has really long? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Do we have anybody that's in line to speak today?
We have no one online. We do have one in person for Michael.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
You got your open aid, everything.
Sacramento A's.
Sacramento.
Yes. What it says on the jersey, Sacramento. Yes, they're finally recognizing the name of the region on the jerseys. Very good. Thank you. So the reason I want to come up today, many have known probably this last week, it's gotten a little warm. But in a couple of months, it could be downright hot in the San Joaquin Valley. So what I put through on the card and had a hour or so ago consultation with the chief counsel about the matter I wanted to discuss with you. Wanted to make an advisory motion related to item number 14 on the agenda. The item mentions the next meeting is going to be on July 17th. The advisory motion I would like to make is to move to hold a meeting in Alameda County. For weather being one of the top reasons, you get a breeze there during the day that you might not get in the valley. And invite and have by way of invitation the Rail Commission to participate in the July 17th meeting and call it a joint meeting of the Regional Rail Commission and Joint Powers Authority, so that the Rail Commission doesn't feel obligated based on their pattern of first Friday of every month, having to meet on Friday, July 3rd, because for many, although not all, would like to take a 3 or 4 day weekend that weekend in July, being its Independence weekend. So I wanted to put that as an advisory motion on the table to be considered when we get to item 14. Typically there isn't discussion at meetings on a regular basis about the discussion of next meeting, but I think some of these points are fairly valid after researching them. And it's been a while since there's been a joint meeting. And I think having the meeting in Alameda County, which the Rail Commission does have some membership on, if you watch their meetings on YouTube, does make sense to have it in that county every July. Thank you. I'm available for any questions. And I should note for the record, I reside in Sacramento County, District 1. Thank you.
So I do have a question. So Alameda County, where will we meet in North County? There's nothing down there.
The Gold Runner trains 5 a day stop at Jack London Square.
Oh, okay.
You probably have a location not far up Broadway at the Franco Gala Plaza. At the City Hall or the Alameda County Administration Center. Are possibility locations to hold a meeting, or even the BART boardroom is another location in the heart of Oakland in Alameda County where you could have a meeting, and that's on Webster Street. Your sister agency, the Capital Corridor JPA, which my neighbor, city council member from District 2 on the Sacramento City Council, Roger Dickinson, serves on the Capital Corridor JPA.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, so 3 possibilities.
Do we have anybody else?
We have no other public comments,
Or anybody online?
none online.
Anybody in the audience here? Seeing that, we'll move on. And our first item is the consent calendar. Board item. You want to follow me on the calendar? Anybody want to discuss separately?
Move to approve.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Any questions from the audience? Any questions from the board? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. Directors Pieza,
Aye.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Sheplian,
Aye.
Pedroso,
Aye.
alternates Allen,
Yes.
Chair Boone.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Okay, so we just, hold on that, no time. Yeah. So we'll go to item number 5, update on California High Speed Rail Authority draft business plan.
Yes, good morning, Chair Boone, members of the board. My pleasure to introduce Mark Paulson, Chief of Staff at the High Speed Rail Authority. Mark's been with the authority for a little over a year, and before that, he came from as an undersecretary of CalSTA, and before that with the governor's office, who brings great experience to the role. And we've been meeting with Mark, I think on a monthly basis since he's been on. Really appreciate his partnership with our agency. Mark.
Great. Morning, Mark.
Morning.
I think we might have made a comment or two at the last meeting, that it'd be nice to have High Speed Rail at one-on-one meetings, so.
Well, appreciate
Thank you
you
for coming.
having me here. Thanks, Chair Boone and members. So, yeah, I wanted to give a quick update as to where we are with the project. Obviously, a lot of momentum that has happened over the last year and a half or so since our new CEO came on in Chowdhury. I'll go through this first slide and really more of a highlight of where we've been, where we're going, and then I'll jump into our draft business plan. So a few things that I just wanted to highlight today. So a lot of what we did when our new CEO came in is reorganized our office or the authority, and really, focused more on how we can operate more like a business. We have a brand new exec team, myself included as part of that. We did have a couple of just brand new hires over the last month and a half, where we did get an appointment of a new chief of safety and security and a chief of infrastructure maintenance. So really excited to round out our exec team, and we'll continue the partnership with you all as we move this project forward. We have been re-engaging with the industry. That's been one of the things where, if you think about the project from its inception, the whole concept of it being part state, part federal, part private, really wanting to make sure that we can engage with the industry, create that interest. We did have a 2-day forum, and this was actually January of 2025, 400 plus folks all across the industry, really bringing their knowledge to the project, as well as some of the largest financiers, concessionaires, providing interest in potentially partnering with High Speed Rail to move us forward. So a few of the things that we did from the onset were looking all across the entirety of the alignment. Obviously starting with Merced to Bakersfield, our early operating segment, but really trying to drive efficiencies, build in the right sequencing. So what that resulted in was about $14 billion of savings. We continue to take that approach as we move forward. really growing the infrastructure we need today for the ridership as we continue to expand out with the ultimate goal of building that full phase one project from San Francisco to LA and Anaheim. Big news earlier this year, we did finish our railhead. That is at the southern part of our Wasco. So that is where we will actually receive material deliveries. Our goal right now is to bring a tracking systems construction contract award to our board June 1st. That really allows us to kick off to lay track by the end of this year. The railhead is the big piece of that to mobilize and actually move materials.
So Mark, the railhead is where you take from this Burlington Northern Santa Fe train can actually go onto the track, correct?
That's right.
And move rocks and all your.
Absolutely.
Very.
Yeah, so rail, ballast, ties, etc. So we are taking an approach, and I'll get into this a little bit with respect to our procurements. So we are looking to actually procure materials up front. So that as we bring on our design builders, we're not necessarily paying that markup 10-15% for them to procure materials. It also helps hedge against inflation, ensures that we have those materials day one, so we are ready to move. We are looking at some other tools in terms of our procurement. So we have these acronyms here, MATOC and IDIQ. So multiple award, task order, contract, and indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity awards. So for construction and A&E work, that will allow us to be a little more nimble in terms of work that, you know, we can draw upon, you know, local contractors for very discrete jobs that we don't have to roll necessarily through our large civil contractors. So those are up and running. At least our MATOC is now for our IDIQ, which is on the A&E side. That will be up and running likely July to August of this year. The one thing, you know, setting in the future, so big thanks to the governor, the legislature for providing that stable funding for our program. $1 billion a year through 2045 from the Cap and Invest program. So that's a real shot in the arm for our program that will allow us to have sufficient funding to complete work in the Valley. Obviously, we need to, you know, continue to work with the administration, the legislature, and others to provide additional funding to get beyond the Valley. But at least today, you know, we are able to finish Merced to Bakersfield within that 2032 to 2033 window. Assuming that we also get the second bullet there, backstop for financing. Ultimately, if we don't receive some sort of mechanism to accelerate those funds forward, we will be in more of a pay-go model. But our goal is to actually deliver and have operating service by 2033 in the Valley. So we do need that ability to accelerate those funds forward. And then again, you know, path forward on expansion. So really laying out some paths forward to how we can get beyond the Valley into the population centers. So for our draft business plan, we asked for an extension of an additional month just based on some of the public comment that came through. So we are planning to bring our final draft business or our final business plan to our board June 1st. But really what our business plan does is lays out a path forward to 3 key tenets. 1, how we're going to complete Merced to Bakersfield. 2, how we can have a realistic pathway into expanding into the population centers, getting to Gilroy in the north, Palmdale in the south, and ultimately connecting into, you know, services there as we continue to build out. Also, early asset commercialization, I'll get into that a little bit more, but looking at opportunities to supplement our project, really looking at the Valley as a corridor of opportunity as we also intend to, or as we drive towards getting passenger rail service together. We do outline some policy tools that are needed to allow us to stay on budget and on schedule. I'll get into those as well. And then looking at that full phase 1 corridor, San Francisco to LA and Anaheim. So as I mentioned, you know, the key to our business plan is our ability to actually complete Merced to Bakersfield by 2032, 2033. That is, you know, our goal. We have the tools to do so with Cap and Invest. We have some major procurements that are allowing us to get there in terms of sequencing. But the one thing that I did want to, you know, focus on this slide is that corridor of opportunity. Really being able to accelerate some of that early asset commercialization. So looking at things like power transmission, broadband, station area development, which is going to be key to really delivering high-speed service and those benefits to communities. So our goal is to, get service up and running into communities as soon as possible, to really start to see some of those benefits materialize. So making a vision a reality, the Merced to Bakersfield, talked a little bit about savings through that optimization process we went through, 14 billion, from our project update report last year into our draft business plan. We found an additional $1.1 billion worth of savings in the Merced to Bakersfield segment, with a total cost of 35.7 billion. We intend to run 8 trips per day initially, as I mentioned, laying down track by the end of this year, which will help drive us towards that schedule. We are looking to actually have revenue service begin in 2033, which is our goal. On safety, one of the things that I think doesn't get talked about enough with our project is just the safety aspect of our program. We will talk about where we are in terms of our civil works in the valley, but the number of grade separations that we will provide as part of this project, it really is one of the biggest safety projects or programs in the state right now. So 119 miles in the valley is what we are currently have under construction, with construction packages 1, 2, and 3, and construction package 4. We now, and this is a little bit dated, but we now have 100% of our parcels delivered. So that was a huge milestone for us. We have 463 miles environmentally cleared. Our last segment of LA to Anaheim is out on the street. We intend to finalize that by the end of this year. We now have actually 59 structures completed, so work continues in the valley. 16,000 plus jobs created, and I'll talk a little bit about our Selma Training Center as well in a subsequent slide. 81 miles of guideway in our construction package 4, which is 22 miles in that southern end of the alignment. We are ready to lay track there, so I'm really excited to be able to get that started towards the end of the year. 5 Central Valley stations, Merced, Madera, Fresno, Kings Tulare, and Bakersfield. So those are all being designed currently. Fresno Station being the first that we will move forward with the package either late this year or early next. Continue to work with you all on the Madera Station, so really good conversations around that with your team. As Dan mentioned, meeting monthly and more frequently as needed. So we talked a little bit about that railhead. So here are some pictures there. We did a celebration earlier this year with the governor, but as mentioned, this is really where we will receive those materials to allow us to proceed forward. Just some stats here. You talked about the 16,000 jobs created. We do have targeted hiring programs, labor compliance programs. 491 disadvantaged workers hired, 97% I believe from the valley and here in California. So I'm really excited about the jobs that get created through a program like ours. And then the Central Valley Training Center. So this is something that has been up and running for quite some time. We've had a number of cohorts run through since 2020, 300 plus graduates to date. This is really where it is a 10-week, as you see on the screen, no cost for your apprenticeship training program, really getting individuals from the community into good paying jobs. So that's something that we will continue to do for the next several years, looking to also expand various programs. We're having conversations with some of the universities as well as community colleges to really bring that California talent or build up that California talent, so we're not reliant upon bringing folks in from other parts of the country, overseas. They come in for 2-3 years and then leave, and that expertise leaves with them. So really trying to drive that here in California. So talked about expanding into the population centers, and really our goal would be to get from the valley into Gilroy to connect in with the Caltrain corridor. This is something where this is our, based on, ridership, really Bakersfield to San Francisco, our first segment that will really generate positive revenue. So really looking forward to being able to, do some of the pre-construction work to de-risk that segment or that future investment ultimately to get there. We continue to do optimizations, outside the valley into the other segments as well. So see, roughly 53.7 billion in initial investment that's required. Again, a big number. But with that, we'll produce is 42 plus billion dollars over 40 years in net operating profit. Similarly, looking to connect into Southern California, and that would be our Bakersfield to Palmdale segment. Really looking to meet up with Metrolink and Antelope Valley, taking a shared corridor approach initially, as we then ultimately build out that full phase one system. This is where we will see $174 billion in revenue over 40 years once we actually have that connection. Really selling this as you'll see kind of down south at Palmdale Terminus, a connection to the High Desert Corridor, which will connect into the Brightline West project that is also getting underway. So really excited about potentially building out a southwestern high-speed rail network. And then big milestones for 2026. So I talked a little bit about our tracking systems construction contract. We plan on bringing that to our board in June. We actually are also concurrently working with a private partner. We did a notice of proposed award for an entity that we're in negotiations with right now to do what's called a co-development phase with them to see if we can get to a business case not only for passenger service, as well as some of the ancillary revenue opportunities. So that will be commencing late in Q2, probably within the next month or so. And then we do plan on getting out our design build contracts for the extensions to Merced as well as Bakersfield later this year. And then we will be awarding the contract to restore the historic Fresno Depot probably in the next few weeks. And then, as I mentioned, our first station contract will be let either late this year in Q4 or early next year. And with that, if something goes back, I will conclude my presentation and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions from the board? Yeah.
Mark, first of all, thank you so much. You've always been available. I know you spoke to the Regional Policy Council before, but your stability, when you talk about people moving on, you've been a stabilizing force with high-speed rail. You talked about the funding, a stable funding source. Are you talking about securitizing capital invest monies or something along those lines? Or are you talking about a new source of revenue?
So obviously we are open to any new sources of revenue that may come our way. But yeah, I was referring to the Cap and Invest program. So that extension through 2045, which provided the authority of that $1 billion a year. But with that, we do need to find some sort of tool to accelerate those funds forward. Some sort of could be a borrowing mechanism. So we're looking at a number of different ways to do that. But that will allow us to actually deliver by 2032, 2033.
So the costs and all projects keep going up. That's what we're going to talk about. This is what we talk about all day long. So a couple of weeks ago, we had the Regional Policy Council, which you had spoken to for Sacramento before, made up of the 8 Valley County, San Joaquin, Kern, and it was kind of a strategic planning session. We had a session on high-speed rail. Dan he tried to do the best he could. Yours was a little more in depth. He did a good job. I mean, he understands it well. But it's always interesting because Mayor Serrano from Merced was there, and I think that I can characterize. I don't want to put words into people's mouths, but that there's been good communication from his perspective from high-speed rail. I think she went south in the valley, specifically Kern. They feel like they've left other conversation. Again, I'm just trying to tell you what I heard, not because I'm not in the middle of San Joaquin and Stanislaus. I want to say we don't have a dog in the fight, but we do because the state rail plan works much better when high-speed rail makes it to Merced. It will change the complexity of being able to move, at least from Bakersfield through Northern California. So I would tell you to concentrate, or your people, not that they haven't heard that message probably from Dan, but to concentrate on continually updating folks with information. I know there's been uncertainty in financing plan, and on your part, it doesn't make that easy. That was just something that I'd like to express on behalf of what I heard, and I'm a third party in all of this. The other thing is, you always want to prepare. I like that you're looking at the the next phase is you're doing clearance, environmental clearance, because you never know when administrations change or when a pile of money falls in your lap. But people want to see track laid, and that's gonna be the most important thing for you. I've noticed that when we build a 2-lane that is eventually gonna be a 4 or 6 lane, but when you're done laying cement, people could drive on it. They start to believe in the system, and right now, and it's kind of this orifice that's out there that we're building. They see construction, but they don't know what that means. So trying to lay some tracks showing that a section opening that is 3 or 4 miles, I think will change the thought process of people and the ability to deliver. Because I don't want anything not completed here in the valley. I think that we've talked about this at the Regional Policy Council. We talked about this. Obviously, here it's more supportive. When you get out there just to elected officials, they question whether anything's ever going to happen. And so, again, appreciate you standing here before us when the business plan gets adopted. And let me start moving forward. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate the comments there, and you're 100% right about, you know, the laying track being that thing that makes us feel real for the public, you know. And I say this a lot, and people probably get tired of me saying it, but when I came over to high speed rail, a lot of folks that are well informed about what's happening in California said, "You're going to high speed rail? Wait, that's still happening?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of work happening in the Valley every day, but I think if you don't see it, or even if you do see it, you know, there's large structures, and like, hey, is that a roadway? What is this?" So I think, yeah, you're absolutely spot on. You know, laying track really does change that in people's minds. To your point about engagement, really appreciate you, you know, reaching out on that. You know, Supervisor Pedroza is, you know, online as well. Really good communications with the city and county about different approaches to actually get into Merced faster and more cost effectively. And then we're continuing that dialogue in our county with city affairs folks as well. Just,
Any other board members? Anybody?
I do see Supervisor Pedroza with his hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Mark, for that update. And you know, I do want to kind of compliment what Supervisor Chiesa said in the fact that, you know, the communication has been excellent with the High Speed Rail Authority. And I think that the relationship has really grown to develop a partnership, more of a dictatorship, if you will, to where it's not more of like, this is what we're going to do. It's kind of welcoming the community and the conversation to happen. I know I meet with the authority this week to go over kind of some of the station area planning to be able to get a plan together for the city and the county to work together. So I want to commend them for that. And I look forward to the continued discussion with the legislature and with the authority as it relates to some of the different funding mechanisms that we're working on, because I think that they really are being as open and honest as possible and as transparent as they have been. So thank you.
Thank you, Josh. So if I could add a comment or two. So I've always said, since I've been on this board, it's nice to have High Speed Rail in the room. We do a lot with you guys on the backside, trying to find money. And it'd be nice to at least have a yearly or bi-yearly visit from you to come in. I know this is your second year here, and I appreciate what you've done. You've turned it around a lot. One thing that was said was in the news right now is you're going to try to capture sales tax within a half mile of the station. So that for my county, we're short funds. We're always short funds. We're going to cut budgets this year, just like you guys have to cut budgets. You guys own the majority of the land here in our station, so it doesn't really affect us too much, and it's not in the city limits yet. So there's only one business. It's no big deal, but it will hurt some other people because we need every single dollar we have. I know the last couple of years our budgets have, you know, we had to keep caught up with inflation with our employees, and now we're trying to keep our employees with inflation on our side. We don't have enough funds to do that. So I would just say talk to those impacted. I know you guys would try and sell to other cities, other counties, but the problem I've seen over the past 16 years is you don't talk to the people that are impacted. And I think you've done a good job since you've been on board to do that. You answer all my phone calls to get things resolved quickly. And so I do appreciate that. Another thing that really irritated me from the beginning is Kern County got involved with our facility here. They're involved with Valley Voices. But when Gavin Newsom wants to drive his bike in the tracks, he goes down to Kern County and takes a piece of bread with him, and he drives his bike in the ground and show a picture, put the gloves on, and you're all giddy, whatever. They have not been in the conversation at all. And they're down there doing it. They've done it 3 times. So I would like to see you involve the next step of bike lane in the actual tracks with somebody that has been working with you or is impacted by the train. I don't like to see people get rewarded or credited for something when they haven't done anything at all. And when I say they don't need to communicate, they'll bring reports together, they don't do nothing. So that's why you're lost, though you're not in Kern County yet, because they got a pretty good resistance going on. We didn't try to stop you, we just tried to make you be accountable to the language of Prop 1A, which if they've done that, we'd have been done already, but that's the story. So thank you again for coming. I appreciate the update. All we see is what we see on social media now in the news and all different and all that. So you need to get that under control.
Yeah, no, thank you, Madam Chair Boone, and if I can just, kind of respond in a couple of ways, if you'll give me a couple of minutes. One of the things with respect to the land value capture proposal, I think the challenge that we always have is, we actually don't have a proposal out on the street. There's no language there, but then when people hear the concept, you always jump to the worst that could happen, right, for a community. I think for us, what we are hoping to do is really similar to, what we said about kind of changing the tenor of how we interact with communities, right? This would be a partnership, but it is intended to be a recognition that when high-speed rail comes into a community, there is that benefit that comes with it. And what we're looking to do is actually just share in that benefit to really move money back into stationary development, some of the infrastructure that comes with having a high-speed rail station there as well. So that's something that again, we are open to working with all cities and counties across the alignment on this. Just want to leave it that this isn't us trying to force our way and capture everything. This is going to be a partnership and point taken on really kind of who's been there with us and really again want to just recognize the continued partnership.
Yeah, it wasn't good from the beginning. It was bad because of the lack of communication. And I'm gonna have to bring up Tom Richard thing right now because he was influential in getting things resolved. Dan Richard was in front. He worked well with me. We didn't start off that way. We had to learn how to talk to each other, and we did very well together. And I hope Tom can be replaced with someone equal or better than he was, because he was really helpful in our lawsuit, getting things resolved. And like I told you earlier, the biggest concern I had was our overpasses. Everybody else had 40-foot wide overpasses, and we had 30. And we're a big ag center. I think we farm at night. We farm different places. As a farmer, I've never driven a tractor up a hill or downhill. So it's something new for someone to farm on both sides. So we take a swather or a hay rake or a disc or something across there, and you meet that car. He was able to give me 40-foot overpasses. And so I experienced what that is 2 weeks ago when I met a hay rake coming from the other side, and it was plenty of room. Had it been 30 foot, one of us had it back down the hill. So I want to thank Tom for that. That was important. And it shouldn't have been a fight that I should have had. Because it should have been, known, but there was no communication from the IT rail to the engineer to the designers to the local community. So if you keep that up, I think you'll be all right. If it is political suicide in my area, if you're going to support IT, but you won't get rid of it. So I'm very careful what I say, and I try to do my best to keep the communication more strong. So I appreciate what you've done too, because like I met you almost 2 years ago, I believe, and we had lunch, and you've been very well, and you answered my phone calls, and we are going to do a tour of IT rail in my county on a regional CSAC policy council. So coming up in June. So thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Anybody else?
We do have a public comments in person with Mr. Bob.
Sure. All yours.
Yes, first of all, thank you for the presentation. Lots to learn and get updated on. And Mr. Chairman, thank you for your strong and stern words that you just made known. I've shared some of the same sentiments. I saw this project in particular was the subject matter on a recent edition on KCRA, which airs in Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto, the 20th largest market in the country, and a show they have every Sunday called California Politics 360 with host Ashley Zavala Epstein, the wife of Fox 40 meteorologist Adam Epstein. It was a very concerning show about this project. One person interviewed on it, I want to say is a candidate for the California's top spot as governor for this primary, I forget who, but that person is a supporter of the project. But to your point, there needs to be a lot of accountability as things go forward. As also a supporter of the project, I am concerned if it is stopped by nobody having any control of that decision in this room or online with us today. But by other forces, I know there's no more federal money going into this project, and that's been completely stopped. My hope is that there is any question of, well, where does the money get shifted to? My first priority would be the 3 corridors already existing in the state of California and help improve whatever their financial needs are to make their 3 services better, albeit even though they can't go any faster than 80 miles an hour on typically privately owned railroads, as the case today. So yes, we both come in the room today sharing some concerns. I hear your motion and I will second it from the folks in Sacramento County that high-speed rail does need to come to this board annually, at minimum, maybe even more, but let's start with annually. I like your idea on that, and I'll jump on board and second your motion and idea to that. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll end this with one comment.
Yeah.
So last year I did a state of the county and it was 2024. And we just finished the big flood. So 2023 was a major flood. And I had the manager of Pine Flat River come down and speak. And he said, what do you may say? I said, just talk real general about how long it took to get the dam built. And what it had obstacles they had to go through. And then I went in behind him and I said, here's a project that was conceived in 1893, finished in 1954. And not everybody wanted it. A lot of political ways people weren't reelected, new people got in because they wanted to stop it, they wanted to build it. We didn't even use it 100% until 2023 when we had a 200-year flood. And we didn't flood from that day. And so sometimes political people are put in position to do things that aren't the right thing for the day, but maybe for the future. We're not gonna be here to see if it works or doesn't work, but we gotta make it accountable during that time. And so Pine Flats worked out well for us. This may be the next thing. But there are people that vote for us in office that don't like this thing, especially if their job been cut or they're losing their money in their household. It makes it hard to watch. So we gotta be efficient, on time, and don't leak out anything that's not real true, like the 3 train spikes going the tracks. I mean, it'd been nice if we had seen a train on since then. Just go back and forth a couple of times, but yeah, it's all about perception to the people that vote us in office, and the smoother that runs, the better we go. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll move on to the next item. Number 8. Six. Now I got any last. Number 6, Momo, all yours.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, my name is Momo Tamaoki. I am the Deputy Director of Planning, Grants and Programming. Here to present the 2026 final annual business plan for the San Juan Joint Powers Authority. So just a quick refresher of what annual business plan is. It is an annual document to lay out our plan and funding needs to operate, administer, and market the Gold Runner service. The draft was due to Cal SDA on April 1st of this year, and the final is due to Cal staff by June 30th. The annual business plan is also reviewed and approved by the state and used to develop annual appropriation requests to the state legislature. So we released a public draft on our SJJPA website on March 6th. The draft annual business plan was approved by the board at the March 19th board meeting. And we've submitted approved the draft to CalSDA before April 1st deadline. Since the release of the draft, we received a few comments from members of the public, a local transportation agency, the San Joaquin Valley Rail Committee, and Caltrans. So staff reviewed and responded to those comments, and they were also attached to the staff report of this item. So based on the comments we received, we made minor edits to the draft annual business plan. But these edits didn't really change the content of the annual business plan, but it was just to clarify and improve the text. We've also included the final revised annual business plan at the end of the board packet for review. And here are some of the key updates that were made to the final annual business plan. The executive summary was updated to state that the Caltrans is responsible for the procurement of new equipment, not just for the Northern California JPAs, but for all state-supported inner city passenger rail service. We've also updated the operating plan and strategy and capital program overview chapters to clarify the reference to the corridor development and improvement portfolio. In the State Rail Fleet Initiative chapter, table 1.1 was updated to remove reference to the comic cars. Also, the text in the same chapter was updated to clarify our roles and responsibilities for the F-59 overhaul contract managed by Caltrans. As for the fiscal impact, adoption of the annual business plan is required for the authority to continue to manage the Gold Runner service as well as to receive funding from the state. So the staff recommend approval of the adoption of the annual business plan. And I am happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for Loma today? What's the board pleasure?
Seeing no questions from board members, we do have a public comment from Mr. Barnbaum. For the second.
Thank you. Yes, I was supposed to address this in March, but due to some scheduling switches, I wasn't able to switch my day off.
We had ice cream too.
Yeah. Yes, so I hope Superior Dairy was especially special that day. I'm sorry I missed it.
It was good.
So anyway, but I've been going over some things over the last 4 months, mainly looking at comments on social. After Gold Runner will post a marketing campaign, I'll see people making comments. And the most pressing thing I see, and even Jason H said it on the screen, I think the business plan does need to have something included in there to bring the cafe cars back. People deeply miss that. It's unfortunate not to have hot food service on this route, considering that one of the Northern California sister agency routes, which people are on the train a lot less in their time, they can go to a cafe car and grab a hot sandwich and a cup of coffee. You're on the Gold Runner typically for commutes a lot longer in distance than on the Capital Corridor service. And this is something people deeply miss. But I hope that the business plan will include heavily marketing with transit agencies and throughway bus services to get especially young folks entering college or continuing their higher education as ways to get to their campus. whether it's directly going to the campus or going to a location where they can take their local transit agency one seat ride from that location directly to campus smoothly and easily. Under those comments, but also a nice bit of work done to look at expanding the service. I will conditionally make a motion to adopt the final business plan at the May meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Seeing no other public comments,
Any comments from the board?
Everyone wants a cafe for that.
Yeah.
It's,
I know they have the photos in the back car, but they're not very cold. What's the board pleasure?
I'll move to approve.
second that.
We have a motion and a second?
thank you. Directors Chiesa,
Aye.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Sheplian,
Aye.
Pedrosa,
Aye.
alternate Allen,
Yes.
Chair Verboen.
Yes,
Thank you, motion passes.
thank you very much. So we'll move on now to item number 7. Good morning, Clay.
Good morning. Hey, my name is Tamika Smith and I am the Director of Rail Services and I am here to talk about safety. Okay, between 2022 and 2025, the board approved one agreement and several amendments between the authority and BNSF. And the agreements cover the security on the right of way, including increased and better fencing and right of way cleanup. BNSF, as the host railroad, they're responsible for all of the aspects of this project. And phase 1 consisted of the project between Madera and Fresno. Okay, the image on the left is what the fencing looked like before, and unfortunately, there are parts of the segment today that the fencing is still in this shape. On the right is the fencing and the new cut-resistant fencing and what it looks like today. Okay, this image is the bollards that BN installed. To date, they installed over 200 bollards and 6,800 feet of fencing along the Gold Runner corridor. And that's between Fresno and Madera. Okay. The proposed amendment before you today will take the phase on between Bakersfield Station as well as Merced and Fresno. And we are looking for approval to install additional fencing as well as work with BN on cleaning up a few of the encampments so that the trespassers do not impact the right of way or they're not negatively impacted with the trespasser strike on the trains. This is a collaborative effort between the authority, BN, and Amtrak Police Department. We go out and we assess the areas and we work with BN to come up with the different segments where we see the impact impacting the Gold Runner. And I will now turn it over to Ms. Galvin to discuss the procurement.
Good morning.
Good morning, thank you, Tamika, good morning, Chair and members. Oops, so this amendment was handled in accordance with the procurement manual, which the authority adopted back in 2015. The price has been deemed fair and reasonable, and the services are reasonable, necessary, and in line with the current scope of work. This amendment will increase the contract amount by $475,000 for a new not to exceed of a little over 2.8 million. The original contract terms and conditions remain unchanged, and it will be effective July 1st, 2026, and then will be for the fiscal year 26-27 through June 30th, unless we extend it in writing. And funding for this project is approved through the fiscal years 24-25 and 25-26 annual business plan award letters from CalSTA. And with that, we recommend approving this amendment with BNSF, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
May I ask, when there's a safety issue in an area, we're going by a school or you have a pedestrian strike, and how's the determination made between BNSF and us? Who they have the final decision on what fencing put up?
They have the final decision, but we fund it.
We
So it's really us, it's a collaborative decision. So they can say yes or no because they own the right of way, but they haven't said no yet because we fund it.
And this may sound crass, but do they determine that they're not going to put up fencing because crass is the wrong word. Yeah, okay, I've got such a small vocabulary that I normally cuss. So. We have to pay for it, right? That's, I understand why they want us to pay for it, but they have the same liability with their train strike and through there with a pedestrian strike. So why isn't it more collaborative, meaning that we split funding or something along those lines?
That's a good question, and we'll ask again. But they so far today, unless anything else otherwise, they haven't put any funding towards any improvements. And they are held up the same way that we are if there's a trespasser strike.
Yeah, well, ours on-time performance is one of the key indicators of why people, wanna ride a bus or a train, they wanna get there on time. So it's important, it probably has an effect, not a monetary effect, but I guess in the end, right, it should affect. But it seems like this should be collaborative, that we should be splitting the cost based on volume that we put through or something along those lines. What do I know? They've got all the power in this situation, but it would be nice if it was more collaborative.
They all have to river. They can think that,
Yeah.
it'd be nice, I mean, it does affect both lines, the freight movement and the people movement, so it is important, and it's good for public safety, and we probably wouldn't have to do this if our mental illness had not been rising over the years. I know in my community, we've been in several suicidal type situations, and that affects not only the person and the family, but it affects the people that have see that. Because that was the engineer and the people on the train. And then you have involved the sheriffs and the police come in, pick up the pieces. It's a traumatic experience. So anything we can do to resolve that, that'd be good. And it doesn't matter if it's a Amtrak train or a locomotive that's coming through there, so. I appreciate this. I hope that we get funded out of Kings County. I just know that if someone wants to get on the train, they will sit on the train.
And a few of the communities are working with what they're calling street, street mental health professionals. So they do go out with the street mental health workers to try to talk to the folks before they let them know the importance of being away from the right of way. Then they also give them proper notice before they remove their items. And so a lot of times that does work, but they are starting to incorporate bringing in the mental health professionals with them.
Very good. I know we're doing a good job with our homeless. We have a reduction. I think the only county in the state that had like a 35% reduction in homeless population. Not easy. It, people struggle with life, so we got to be sure what their performance and make sure that they're causing damage to themselves in front of others.
But I would agree, anything we can do to hinder the opportunity or slow down the amount of individuals, because we see it here, as you know, in Stockton, the number of fatalities we've had has been alarming. But again, I know we're kind of hamstrung in this, and that, our partners, and I use that term loosely, our partners are just like, hey, it's all you. We know you got us. But if it hit them in the pocket insurance-wise or something like that, maybe they would be more collaborative. I don't know how we can do that.
Okay, any other comments from the board? Seeing none?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Well, I have a motion and a second.
You need comments from, ask for comments from public, online and in person.
Oh, do we have any comments online?
Seeing none online and none in the room.
Good, Michael?
Yeah, leave it to.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Director Skaza,
Aye.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Shucklin,
Aye.
Pedrosa,
Aye.
alternating Allen,
Aye.
Chair Booth.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on now to item number 8. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Terry Gates, Connecting Services Manager. We're going to talk about Route 18. So Route 18 is our Amtrak two-way interline service that operates between Visalia and Santa Maria with stops in Hanford and San Luis Obispo. It provides access to Cal Poly, the Central Coast, and the Bull Runner Rail Corridor, and it's one daily round trip. Back in March, we brought to the board an information item letting the board know that the operator of Route 18 had given his notice to Amtrak with his intent to discontinue operating the service due to ongoing financial issues. We also shared at that time that Route 18 had been an underperforming route for some time. We had done some marketing and some outreach, didn't really make much of a difference. And as of today, we're down 55% from where we were at our highest in 2018, 2019. We're only averaging about 29 riders a day. And at that time, we had to say that the end of the service was going to be May 31st, 2026. So at the board meeting, the board had suggested that we explore potential options, maybe looking at a seasonal service or reduced service. And so that's what we did. We evaluated the service, the corridor, and the ridership. And we came up with our evaluation findings, which is that Route 18 is just not sustainable as a daily round trip, a daily service year round. It just has a lot of inconsistent ridership throughout the year. But what we did find is that there is very strong demand for the ridership that lined up with the Cal Poly academic holiday schedule. So we averaged anywhere from 38 to 70 riders when we operated Fridays before a holiday or in alignment with Cal Poly's academic schedule. So what we did was we did an RFQ. We got pricing from local operators in the area. We used our best price. We determined that if we ran a seasonal service just on these peak demand dates, our break-even point would be 42 riders. And that would make this sort of a positive financial route at that point. So our proposal is to change Route 18 from a year-round daily service to a seasonal service. So we picked 21 high-demand dates that we know would line up with the Cal Poly schedule. We streamlined the route so that we get more directs would be Hanford directly to San Luis Obispo. It would improve travel time, get rid of some of the extra stops. And that we would operate just the 21 days seasonally. We would try this for the next year as sort of a seasonal pilot for the program. It comes up to 36,000 for the year if we did it. And we would evaluate it based on the cost effectiveness of the route based on what is required by the state. So we would take in alignment with not only the bus ridership, but the train connection ridership as well. And we will analyze it over the year. And so what we're proposing is that we operate this as a pilot program for the next year and operate these 21 days. And the fiscal impact would be 36,000. And that's it. So I take any questions.
Very good. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience?
Yes. We have one in-person public comment from Mr. Barnbaum, none online.
It's all yours. You can go to Cal Poly, what's it called, they use the party at the Poly World. Take the bus over, take the bus back, good event.
No,
If you want to pay out, yes.
no, but on this item, so I mentioned part of the business plan was targeted marketing, particularly to college and university students who are just going into college or continuing their education. It's unfortunate that the statistics on this route, particularly when focusing on such targeted marketing as this is, are not panning out the way or the hope that it was supposed to. I would hope, given some guidance here, that the savings achieved by going to these 21 targeted dates around the academic calendar and peak holiday times could be reinvested into other routes that need some assistance in their operating and perhaps their targeted marketing. One example I can give, and this is just going from past meetings of this group, is the Route 10. Route 10 travels from the UC Santa Barbara campus and Santa Barbara to Bakersfield. But there's only one trip a day that extends east of Bakersfield out to UNLV and downtown Las Vegas. So if the savings from Route 18 would in one way be applied to Route 10 to make it round trip from the greater Santa Barbara area to the greater Las Vegas area going through Bakersfield, that might help targeted marketing on that route, particularly to assist UC Santa Barbara and UNLV, as an example. There's likely going to be conversion of some of the northern routes in the state from Amtrak Thruway to RABA, Reading Area Bus Authority. You've heard the Salmon Runner being talked about as the Interstate 5 community corridor service from Reading to Sacramento, but also, is there a way to maintain through targeted marketing the existing service along State Route 99 to Chico State and provide linkage service between Sacramento State and Chico State, and perhaps down here to UOP. So those are some of the things that I'd like to address in a concern on this item. And if those are addressed and applied, I would happily move adoption of the staff recommendation before us today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I know that I experienced this the other day. My daughter was flew from Dallas to Fresno on the flight got canceled, so I think I pick her up at Battle. So there may be an opportunity if we could get something here, maybe United into airports that we can. It's just hard because you don't need it in an emergency, so we'll try to plan a program. I believe to get people to write it again.
And I would just argue it's a pilot program, and we should be trying pilot programs to try and make it work. And I always argue in the county when there's not many people riding the bus, I generally say that if the person's riding the bus, it's probably their only form of transportation. Maybe we can change the van model, but I would say the same thing here. If we can get to that number, or we can get close to it, then we can extend the pilot and try it again, because it's a lifeline. The CSU stands in the valley. We were running a bus loop now, and I've told the story here before, but we're running a bus loop for Turlock, so that if you're running the train once before, you have to get a taxi cab or call your friends to come pick you up. So I think we're doing much better. And Cal Poly is the greatest university in California. Sure. Yeah, I'm a graduate. Anyway, so I'm excited to try it.
Any other comments from the board?
We do have a hand raised from Supervisor Pedrosa.
Yes, I agree. Cal Poly is the greatest university on the planet. But I think that as universities are starting to go away and discouraging students to bring cars on campus, I think this is a good idea to start a pilot to at least kind of just try it out and see, as more freshmen are coming from the Valley to Cal Poly. I think it's important that we do. And so when it's time, I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second.
Thank you, Josh. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Vito, and I have a comment. So, question, Vito. So you're 8 years in college. Would you
You wish me that story.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Directors Chiesa,
I
Bazey,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Checklian,
Aye.
Pedrosa,
Aye.
alternate Siana,
Aye.
Chair Boone.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We'll on now to the next item, which is information on that, please.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate this opportunity to update you on our through bus study that's just gotten underway. As you know, we have a very large network of through buses that connects the Gold Runner passengers to destinations throughout California and even to Nevada. This throughway bus network is really integral to our overall Gold Runner service, and most of our passengers, certainly over half of them that take the train, have a throughway bus trip on at least one end of their trip. And given the size and importance of this throughway bus network, we believe there's a real need to investigate the existing routes and the performance, look at the governance of each of the routes, and also look at potential changes that we might make to make each of them be more efficient and effective. This figure shows you the routes, and I think it's key to note that the throughway bus network is really what makes the Gold Runner a statewide service. This lists our various services that exist as well. And Mr. Baumgar mentioned the Route 5, which is shown in this map. That was not on the list because it hasn't started yet, but we're looking to start that in July between Reading and Sacramento. And then if you look at our agency, we went and really thought about this. These are initial goals that we have for the service. We'll come back later and refine these. But we do think that this service should be a preferred and convenient option for intercity travelers that connects Gold Runner services to increase our ridership. It should be cost-effective services, and this is especially important given our constrained public transportation account funding that we rely upon for our services, for our operations, and also for the increased cost of providing services that we're seeing. We also think that it's important to have effective business models and governance structures for our routes, as well as also providing safe, reliable, and competitive connectivity to key travel markets throughout California. The study is really focused on delivering specific, feasible, and short-term recommendations for improving the thruway bus network routes. This effort is going to be supported by our on-call planning consultant, DV, but we'll also be utilizing our staff's experience and our expertise in the area, as well as some of the consulting staff that work for other departments, such as our marketing department. Public and stakeholder outreach will be part of this plan, and it will be conducted by our staff and marketing consultants to support this thruway bus study. While I will be the project manager leading this effort, we also have a technical working group of our staff made up of a variety of our departments: operations, passenger experience, planning, fiscal departments that really be key to developing this study throughout the study period. We are looking at this being done pretty quickly. We're looking at the work largely being done over a 4-month period, and then followed by a couple of months for us to develop implementation strategies. The key public outreach times we're looking at right now we're expecting it to be early June and then also late July. And we will have a specific web page developed for this study that will direct the public and agencies to get information about the studies, but also be able to provide input to the studies as well very easily. We do expect to come back to you at your next 2 meetings, first on July 17th, and present to you characteristics of each of our routes and kind of refine goals for the service, as well as initial input that we've received from the public. And then we look to come back in September, on your September 15th meeting, with the final report and look for your approval of the final report. And then we'll also discuss implementation strategies. So again, this will be relatively quickly, but this will be an important part of your next 2 board meetings. This is an information item, and the board to answer any of your questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions? More? Any questions?
Yes, I would like to know we have lost quorum and all other items moving forward will be informational. We do have a public comment from Mr. Bonwell.
Sure. Over.
Yes. Yes, Dan, thank you for the presentation and introducing the item today. Fully understand from the presentation, it's going to come back in July and in September for action, but today is kind of the introduction and the kickoff. I would like to participate as a key stakeholder from the riders group. If you're forming it from rider experiences, I've used thruway bus service for many years, mainly for business or sporting events, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to look at each and every route. The one you mentioned, your presentation that wasn't on the list, that's going to be called Route 5. Very excited to see Mr. Ando and his team up and Reading and the group launch that route in July. Very curious to see what their timetable will look like from Reading to Sacramento, because they have to take note. They're not only connecting with the Gold Runner service in Sacramento, but they will also be connecting to Capital Corridor services along with the Coast Starlight and the California Zephyr long distance services that Amtrak national network serves in Sacramento and at Sacramento Valley Station, along with the additional Sacramento stations coming online by 2031 through the Valley Rail expansion project. So, Mr. Chair, I know you've heard, and don't want to repeat or sound like a broken record, but I just can't stress enough how important this study is going to be, especially when we take it to the marketing team to develop any targeted marketing for people going to college or continuing their higher education, and how we can better be a partner with local transit agencies through this study, or directly going to the colleges through the study itself. And I'd like to see a lot of significant investment in Route 10, so as to get more round trips through from Santa Barbara to Las Vegas, and not limit it to what it is today. So thank you. Look forward to this coming back in about 60 days or so. Thank you.
Sure, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Seeing no other comments online,
Okay, we'll go on to the next item.
Thank you.
Are you Chad or are you?
Yes, my name is Chad Hughes. I'm in transportation research analyst too.
Maybe you sit in front today.
Yes, I came right. Greetings, members of the board. Welcome to the Gold Runner quarterly performance update, quarter 3, fiscal year 25-26. During the third quarter of FY 25-26, Gold Runner maintained stable ridership levels while continuing to demonstrate strong financial performance and revenue growth. From January through March, Gold Runner carried approximately 210,000 passengers, representing a modest increase of just over 0.5%, or about 1,200 riders year over year, and reflecting continued steady demand for the service. From a year-to-date perspective, ridership remained nearly flat overall, down almost 1,300 riders, or less than 0.25% compared to the prior years. On the financial side, Gold Runner generated approximately $8 million in revenue during the quarter, representing an increase of more than 11% compared to the same period last year. Quarterly revenue increased by more than $800,000 year over year, while year-to-date revenue performance remained particularly strong, increasing by approximately $1.5 million, representing growth of more than 6% compared to the prior fiscal year. You can look at the ridership. While quarter 3 ridership came in at approximately 1.7% below the forecast, the overall quarterly performance remained relatively stable and closely aligned with projected demand levels. During the quarter, Gold Runner carried nearly 210,000 passengers and fell short of the quarterly forecast by just under 3,600 riders. Compared to the same quarter last year, as their threshold increased modestly by about 1,200 riders, and this represents a year-over-year gain just over 0.5%, indicating continued stabilization in ridership demand. As is typical of the service, Gold Runner revenue performance continued to closely track alongside ridership trends during the quarter. Unlike ridership performance, however, quarter 3 revenue exceeded expectations and demonstrated particularly strong financial results. During the quarter, Gold Runner generated approximately $8 million in revenue and outperformed the quarter 3 forecast by almost $750,000, or more than 10%. Compared to the same quarter last fiscal year, quarterly revenue increased by more than $800,000, and this represents a year-over-year growth of approximately 11%. And this indicates continued strength in passenger revenue generation despite modest ridership growth during the same period. Important to note here is that the quarter 3 revenue performance also exceeded pre-pandemic benchmarks, outperforming historic levels by approximately $268,000, or roughly 3.5%. You can look at the station level ridership. Trends during the third quarter of FY 25-26 reflected generally stable performance across the corridor, with several station groupings and individual stations posting notable year-over-year changes. Within the Bay Area Station Group, for example, the quarterly ridership totaled approximately 75,000 riders or passengers, representing modest decline from the prior year. However, within that station group, Emeryville had a strong Q3 performance, with ridership increasing by almost 1,000 passengers. The North San Joaquin Valley Station Group remained effectively flat during the quarter, carrying almost 105,000 passengers. There, Sacramento reported the most significant ridership increase system-wide, growing by more than 11,000 passengers. And this represents a substantial upsurge compared to the previous year. Moving along, we see that the Central San Joaquin Valley Station Group posted modest quarterly growth, increasing to just under 137,000 riders. And within this group, the Merced Station experienced the most growth year over year, with ridership there increasing by almost 1,300 passengers. And then finally, the strongest quarterly growth among the station groups occurred within the South San Joaquin Valley, where ridership increased to just under 100,000 riders. And there at the station level, Bakersfield recorded the largest growth, gaining about 4,600 riders year over year. So in summary, station utilization trends during the Q3 of fiscal year 25-26 remained generally stable across the Gold Runner corridor, though performance varied by station group and individual stations. This coincided with another strong quarter for Gold Runner overall, characterized by continued year-over-year revenue growth, substantial outperformance against revenue forecast expectations, and sustained progress towards overall system ridership growth as the service moves into the final quarter of the fiscal year. I'll pause for any questions before I head out to the stream.
No, thank you very much. Any questions from the board? Yeah, thank you. Good job. Even talk to the whole train.
Thank you. Good morning, Nathan Lash, Operations Superintendent. Before we get into the numbers for the Q3, I'll just take you back to look at the performance over the first half of the fiscal year, just to remind you of some of the challenges that we face. You may recall in the Q1, we had some pretty historically low on-time performance, especially in the month of September. And that was mainly due to a couple of track improvement projects that our host railroad, BNSF, was performing on the middle and southern regions of our corridor. That combined with that, we really started to feel the effects of the aging of the state-owned legacy locomotive fleet of equipment that serves both the Capital Corridor and the Gold Runner service, was what really brought us a big challenge throughout the Q1. In fact, in the month of August, we had a number of en-route cancellations and suspensions of or cancellations of different round trips because of the locomotive failures. And so in the month of September to October, we decided to suspend a round trip to try and get some more stability for the service and to give TASI an opportunity to work on some of that equipment while it wasn't in service. In the Q2, you can see we did see an improvement to on-time performance once those track projects wrapped up. However, the equipment issues did still affect us throughout the Q2 and really limited us to that 60% range for on-time performance. And you can see our goal there for the service is 83%. There was some highlights in the Q2. In the month of December, we did introduce a schedule change for the service that changed the overall schedule of the service. And really, the highlight of that change was to bring back the long-awaited return of the 7th round trip between Sacramento and Bakersfield. And so that was introduced with this schedule change, along with a couple of other goals that we had. The Capital Corridor service did have a schedule change that coincided with ours, and so we collaborated with them to make sure that our schedules meshed well as we share some of our territory with them. In addition to that, we also collaborated with Losan to get some additional connection to their service on the southern end of our route. So looking ahead to the Q3, at the end of December, I did want to mention, we did start to see an uptick again in those mechanical reliability issues. And so at the beginning of the Q3 in early January, we did make the decision to again suspend one of our round trips between Oakland and Bakersfield. And again, that's to try and give some more stability to the service and have less disruptions to the passengers that were out there. And so that suspension did remain in effect throughout the Q3, and that trip did return to service towards the latter part of April. You can see here the numbers for the Q3. We did see an increase in on-time performance throughout the Q3. We did have a reduction in some of the mechanical delays that we were seeing. We got up to 72% in January, and then we saw a big increase in February up to 78%, and then hit the 80% mark in March. kind of give you an idea of how that stacked up throughout the quarters. You can see the quarterly average for each quarter there. In the third quarter, we did see a 34% increase over where we were in the first quarter. So again, a very big improvement. One thing I do want to point out is this schedule change has showed some very good promise on days where we haven't experienced a lot of mechanical delays. Throughout the month of December, when we had all 7 round trips running, we did have a number of 100% days and some days in the high 90s and 80%. So again, once some of these issues are taken care of and worked through, but we have some good idea that the new schedule is performing very well as intended. To give you a better look at that, you can see the correlation here with the increase in mechanical delay, and it's represented by the gold line there. In the months when the mechanical delay minutes were high, the on-time performance was very low. And then in February and March, when we saw a decrease in the mechanical delay minutes, we had our highest on-time performance both in February and March. Yeah. And so the equipment reliability, again, is really the key opportunity for us going forward to be able to reach our goal of 83% and even exceed that. So looking ahead on that front, I do want to mention it was mentioned that we're getting into the hotter months of the year now. We are starting to see an uptick in some overheating related issues with the equipment. And so TASI is working quickly to address some of the radiators and hoses with those systems to get a handle on that before it gets even hotter. And then looking ahead, the locomotive availability is key for them to be able to work on units that are not in service and to address some of the major components of those locomotives. They were able to implement 2 locomotives recently that have been out of service for over a year. And again, that's going to give us more flexibility to work on some of that equipment while it's not moving. The JPA has also recently released 3 locomotives from Caltrain. Those are not in service yet. They're undergoing some compatibility testing with the train control system for our quarter. The equipment team is working hard to get those into service, again, to give us greater flexibility and hopefully reduce the number of mechanical delays that we're having. I mentioned earlier, a number of these units are well past their overhaul date, and so Caltrans is working to release an overhaul RFP in the summer of this year, so we can get that work started and get some of these units the much needed work that they need. Your coach car availability is very strong, as you can see here, the 90%, 80%, so there's no issues there. With that, that concludes my report. We're happy to take any questions.
Thank you, David. Any questions from the board?
I didn't know whether it being canceled on trip. You're notified. I'm just asking the question.
Sorry, I tried to. Yeah, it was a temporary pause due to the mechanical challenges, so it's now reinstated. We had convoluted concurrence of events that occurred, so both Capital Corridor and our service increased the service in the winter time frame, which added stress on fleet availability. At the same time, we started having the mechanical issues that Nathan would reference, and so that caused us to pull back a little bit on that service level. So we are now back up at that service level. And we're holding, we are still experiencing some mechanical issues, but the added locomotives that Nathan talked about, the Caltrain lease, we're very close to putting those into service, and that'll alleviate the challenges.
Yeah. Are they a different type of locomotive than the traditional?
They are, but it's really related to just the number of locomotives available for service. So if you do have a mechanical incident, you have the flexibility with the fleet to address it for service. So we were running right at the line for probably 4 months.
Anybody else on line?
Seeing none online?
Anybody in the audience? Good, Mike, you good? Yeah. Okay. We'll move on now to the next item. Thank you. Yeah. This one.
Yeah. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Gomez. I'm the Public Relations Manager with the Georgia Power Authority, and yes, I am doing this one. And trying to update on the Bay Area marketing and outreach efforts for our Gold Road service. Before I bring up Christian, I do want to just do a quick refresher on some of the
functions of our marketing department, the past experience of the marketing department. And so we have as you can see, a wide range of responsibilities within our department. And we're always kind of, in different areas of the corridor, but different focuses at any given day, but kind of the primary function and what we all come together for is to make sure that we're out in communities, highlighting our service to try to get folks to honor trade. With that said, even though we have a pretty strong and mining team, we still have a very large area to cover. And so this map shows you, as we've mentioned numerous times, our services essentially cover the entire state of California. And so you've seen us active in your communities, our staff members, but even with that said, we still have a lot of other there's multiple items going on in different parts of the state at any given time. So and it's not just a PEM team effort or the past experience marketing effort. We have a lot of participation from our leadership team that helps out at the events, other departments that also participate, but we still need to be on a lot of basis. And thanks to this board, we are able to get some support from external partners as well. And so where staff is not able to attend or maybe not physically available, then we have external partners like Winter, who's presenting today. And so we did kind of regionalize these our teams. And so for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to focus kind of the yellow area in the Bay Area. And so I'm going to bring up Christian here, who's going to be able to talk a little bit about the Bay Area marketing efforts. And I just want to note that we will be bringing up updates from the different regions for their board meetings. And so I see everybody kind of looking at that map. We'll get it bigger next time. Christian?
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Adele, and it's pleasure to meet you all again. I was here last year and always so pleasure to come back. My name is Christian. I'm the project manager for this account for Bay Area Marketing and Outreach for Winter. So this is a team that is at Winter that's supporting Bay Area Marketing and Outreach. I'm joined by my colleague Santiago as Deputy Project Manager, Brandon Winter as a Strategy Lead, and my colleague Frank Ponciano as Marketing and Stakeholder Engagement Advisor. So for today's agenda, we'll first talk about partnerships. We'll then talk about college outreach, really pivotal part of our work, passenger appreciation, and then end with some updates regarding Allen's Week. So this might look familiar to all if you've seen it before, but these are our initiatives that help frame the work that we do. There's 8 of them. 1 is Allensworth, 2 is our efforts in Oakland, 3 is passenger appreciation, how we appreciate passengers throughout the year. 4 is colleges, how we engage with students to get them to the Bay, back to Central Valley or to Southern California and back. Downtown Martinez. A new one for this year is Emeryville. So we did launch earlier this year with several partnerships in Emeryville through a bus promotion in the Bay and then general marketing services. So with that, how do we do all that? So we do that by supporting the agency staff in a multitude of different ways through helping garner and nurture and grow these partnerships with chambers, visitor bureaus, nonprofits, hotels, festivals, and of course colleges and universities. 2, through marketing efforts, supporting the good social media content creation and strategy that agency staff is leading, press release support, blog and newsletter content support, email, phone campaigns, itinerary creation, and support for destination videos. And finally, with outreach, including support for tabling events, survey collection, and supporting staff in pop-in presentations with interested organizations. So this is a listing of, on the top row, the partnerships that we've continued from previous years, including with Visit Oakland, the Oakland Museum of California, Richmond Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Martinez and Company, and the Martinez Chamber of Commerce. And some new ones for this year include the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. We're starting and launching one. We're really excited with the San Francisco Bay Ferry. And earlier this year, we started new partnerships with Emeryville Commerce Connect and Bay Street Emeryville, which is a premier shopping and entertainment destination just footsteps from the Emeryville train station. So with that, these are some examples of how we strengthen and continues our existing partnerships, continuing our partnership with Visit Oakland with the restaurant promotions and campaigns and supporting and that effort, and with this year relaunching our partnership with Oakland Museum of California with that same day ticket free admission promotion. So if you take Gold Runner and present your ticket, you can get free admission into the Oakland Museum of California. So this is our second year of doing it, and we're excited to build off the momentum of last year. Downtown Martinez is a big one, a big partner that we've continued throughout several years. This is our third year participating in their annual Bay Area Craft Beer Festival. This year it was in April, now it's going to be in August. We continue to have a strong partnership with them, promoting their local businesses. Again, their downtown area is just footsteps from the train station. So really excited to continue that partnership with not just Downtown Martinez and Company, but the Chamber as well. And you'll see later on in my presentation with passenger appreciation. And just as a upcoming insight into what's coming up next, we are partnering with the Martinez Chamber to have a booth at the King of the County Barbecue Music Festival, one of the biggest events in Martinez. It's our first time being there for outreach, so really excited to be there and engage with the community. And again, we'll be at the Bay Area Craft Beer Festival later on in the summer. So in terms of new partnerships for this year, these are some new ones that we've engaged with. We just joined the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce, trying to promote new businesses, particularly around the Route 99 bus stop. We're excited to launch a partnership with San Francisco Bay Ferry to cross-promote each other's services, and in addition to promote the key connection that is existed at the Jack London Square station. Just a 5-minute walk from our station is the ferry terminal there. And then, as I mentioned, we were very excited to launch the partnership with Commerce Connect, with their mixers to promote the Gold Runner service, and again, launching Bay Street Emeryville, which is just footsteps from the station. There are a ton of different attractions and hotels there, and we want to highlight Emeryville as a destination. In addition to that, we are exploring attractions and hotels such as the Marriott Oakland City Center, Hyatt House in Emeryville, and a recently opened Dave & Buster's, again, just a 5-minute walk from the Jack London Square station that just opened a couple weeks ago. So for San Francisco, we really want to hone in on the bus stop and what's to do around within that walking distance, right? So to do that, we partnered with Chamber of Commerce. There, we are trying to have an activation right at the bus stop in front of Salesforce Tower to build that momentum and engagement around that. We want to build off the successes of the Beat the Heat campaign. So launching a campaign to highlight attractions and to escape the heat, so to speak, with partnership we've garnered, and highlight car-free travel to the Bay Area with our partnership with San Francisco Bay Ferry. For Emeryville, we often see Emeryville as just a connecting point, but this year, there's so much efforts and initiative from all the businesses and local economy there to promote Emeryville as a destination in and of itself. So through this, we're promoting Emeryville and all it has to offer, again, within that 5-minute walking distance. There are 3 hotels, there's Bay Street, Emeryville, there's a ton of different things to do there without going into the hustle and bustle of San Francisco and Oakland. So we want to highlight Bay Street, Emeryville as an additional destination to go to in the Bay Area. And they've been really thrilled to have our partnership, and we're excited to move forward with this throughout the rest of the fiscal year. Going into college outreach, we've continued to have robust outreach efforts at these schools: Golden Gate University, University of San Francisco, UC Berkeley, and City College of San Francisco, attending their orientation events and also their admit weekend events. And this has been great to reintroduce students to our brand as Gold Runner at the Wing Church late last year, and also garner new support from and new candidates for student ambassadors. So this year in particular, we had a concerted effort to highlight and work with our ambassadors to level up content. They've been instrumental in getting the brand out there. We have 4 active Bay Area ambassadors, 3 from UC Berkeley, and we have 1 from Samuel Merritt College. Maya, she's on the right. She recently did a trip to San Diego, highlighting the opportunity to take the train and take the through bus service to San Diego. And also Gladys to the left, which I'll show her 42nd view right now, highlighting her trip from UC Berkeley back home to me.
I live in the heart of California and go to UC Berkeley, so I always get asked, Gladys, how do you get home? 2 words, Gold Runner. I genuinely never have to worry about driving or filling up on gas. I simply take the bus, or sometimes I treat myself to a rideshare, to the Emeryville train station, where I wait for my train to arrive, and boom, I relax with a movie, a little bit of reading, or free, yes, free of charge, snacks and drinks. Did I mention they were free? Here's a small snack haul, and then I also had the choice to catch up on work, but I decided to just watch a movie. Before I knew it, I reached my lovely hometown. Shout out to my mom for picking me up, and shout out to Gold Runner.
Yes, I think this highlights the type of content that's quick and really highlights the travel between schools in the Bay Area and our connection to Central Valley and all the connections throughout California. This video alone garnered almost 80,000 views organically on Instagram, and collectively with all these videos, we're seeing a lot of this support and helping cultivate some of these students into mini influencers in and of themselves, which has been really exciting to see. In terms of passenger appreciation, we're thrilled to have this opportunity to appreciate passengers at 2 stations, some of our highest utilization stations in the Bay Area, including at Martinez Station and Emeryville. For Martinez, we liaise closely with the downtown Martinez and Company and Martinez Chamber. We gave out sandwiches in here at Oakland, at Emeryville Station at the bottom left. You can see we liaised with and partnered with a local coffee shop. They gave out free hot chocolate as it was cold, so it was great. We also worked with Tipsy Putt, Flores Cafe, Martinez, Busy Works Crafts, and Luigi's to have different activations. On the bottom right, you can see we had a hot putt green where people could have 3 shots at a hole-in-one and get a prize. So those are the different activations that we had for passenger appreciation, and looking forward to more efforts this year. And then finally, to wrap up our efforts with Allensworth, and this is a really meaningful opportunity for us to engage with local community groups from all over the states. Last year, we continued the momentum from 3 years ago and organized travel for up to 425 participants via 3 unique excursions to Allensworth through the Houston Parks Grant offered by Parks California. We engaged with a variety of different groups, including United Seniors of Oakland and Alameda County, Stockton, Tracy, and Bakersfield City School Districts, Solano College, Mills College, and Oakland Double and NAACP. At Jack London Square Station at the bottom left, we gave out 3 snacks, coffees, and folks embark on their 6-hour journey to Allensworth. That's myself and from staff at Allensworth itself during Juneteenth. Bottom right is Solano College students and Bakersfield City's students at the top. And then, sorry, going back. Really quickly, I wanted to highlight for this year, we continued the 3rd year of our Roots to Parks Grant and had over 160 participants at the Black History Month celebration, including 100 youth from Fresno Unified. And we were featured at a Parks California blog here, highlighting how we're bringing this experience to students, many of whom it was their first time riding the train. So giving them access and the opportunity to ride transit and to take our service was really thrilling for them. And a lot of them want to take their families on further trips going forward. So with that, just looking forward, we will continue the ongoing and frequent collaboration with Gold Runner staff leads on marketing and outreach strategies, support staff on launching and amplification of new and existing partnerships, including with the Castle Air Museum Open Cockpit Day happening in a couple of weeks in Stockton Ports, and supporting Gold Runner staff on future initiatives, station and services, and other efforts. So with that, thank you so much for your time. And
very good, thank you. Any questions from the board? Mr. Barbaugh.
Yes. So I had no card on this, but I did have a quick question based on the presentation. Have you had any coordination and collaboration with Capital Corridor and AC Transit to look into replacing Route 99 with Route F as in Frank? This route is a Trans-Bay route serving Emeryville to Salesforce Transit Center and extending on the other side of the Emeryville station directly to the UC campus. It would feel that coordination and collaboration for that route is essential, especially to the target marketing of getting folks off the train over to their campus, but also similar to what I mentioned with Route 5 and RABA, rather than being an Amtrak throughway, being a public transit operated throughway, you open it up then to the general public where you don't necessarily need a train ticket per se, and it would help your marketing efforts. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
I don't have a question, rather a comment. I know you've mentioned the Stockton Courts, and we just announced this week that we are bringing hockey back to Stockton. So there's gonna be an opportunity there, hopefully to get out information, but in October, we will be launching a new hockey team. We haven't named it yet. The public is gonna be involved in naming of that team. But it received a very warm welcome. Actually, I wouldn't say it, excited. There were so many people that showed up and are definitely welcoming it back to Stockton. So just keep that on your radar. I know we have a great partnership, you know, like with the Kings as well as Stockton Kings Sports. Let's add, and in 2 weeks, we should have another announcement that y'all be excited about as well.
We appreciate all our sports partnerships, and we do have some Data Valley as well too. So definitely we're excited about that announcement. I think we excited staff when we were watching the press conference. We saw you front and center, so we're still excited to explore that opportunity with them. Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions? Anybody online?
Seeing none online?
Okay, thank you again. We'll move on now to board member comments. Any board member online want to go first? Amy? Letitia?
See y'all next week.
Okay, anybody else? I don't see anybody else. Okay.
I just wanted to acknowledge and appreciate when I looked at the list of attendees, Mayor Charlie Hogan from Waterford and Mayor George Carr and Stancock staff, Gene Poletta. I appreciate not being lonesome in this job, because when you go back and you try to explain all these things that are happening, it's nice to have a group of people stay down the whole time. So thank you all.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Got exciting news coming up then, right?
Yes, more good news.
Okay. Chief Executive Officer report. Chris.
Yeah, just a couple of things that we're running along, so I'll be fast. First is, I just wanted to share that in April, the Gold Runner took more than 100 FFA students from Fresno and Bakersfield up to Sacramento for the annual Ag Day. It was really a great day, not only because we were able to get them to Ag Day, but then we also hosted a session with California Secretary of Agriculture, Karen Ross, and allowed the students to have a really robust Q&A with the Secretary of Agriculture. So a great add-on to a big day and a good train ride. So we're really excited to provide that opportunity. Last week we were with Mayor Fugazi in Washington, D.C. For the annual One Voice for the San Joaquin County. Really effective week, not only advocating for projects within the county, but then we added on a day to talk about Gold Runner and the service, the state supported service. That day included, in the whole week, including meetings with both Senate offices, the congressional delegation, as well as FDA and FRA. So really successful week. And then I'm also pleased to share that this week we received an award for our Stockton-wide culvert project from the California Transportation Foundation. It was the structural project of the year. Really excited to do that, so I wanted to receive that. So I wanted to acknowledge the team. Many of them I don't think know that yet, so this is an internal announcement for them. So congratulations to the team. Also thank you to the South San Joaquin Irrigation District, UP, Camino Management, PGH Wong, and Gary Delegate Associates for their work on that project. Always nice to get one of your projects recognized statewide. With that, I will look at comments.
Okay, there's no more questions or comments. We'll adjourn our meeting. We'll be back here or somewhere. July 17th. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a good one.
Open